Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers just ruined baseball. I'm canceling my season tickets and I'm never watching a baseball game ever again, says a lot of fans over the last 24 hours. So we all know that Shohei Ohtani just signed a $700 million contract that is the largest guaranteed contract in the history of sports, but he's not getting $700 million anytime soon, and that's why people have a problem with him. I almost can't believe I'm saying this out loud, but Shohei Ohtani is only making $2 million a year. I'm going to say that one more time. Shohei Ohtani is making $2 million a year. That is not a lie, for the next 10 years, and that's because he deferred $680 million of the $700 million that he's owed. So after the first 10 years in which he's made $20 million, the next 10 years will be paid $680 million. So technically, it's a fake 20-year, $700 million contract. You guys following me? But that's why people are saying that Ohtani and the Dodgers have broken and ruined baseball, because the Dodgers now have Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, and Freddie Freeman all on deferred contracts, so they get all of them in their prime, and they now have nothing but money to spend. Right? Not exactly. Even though Shohei Ohtani is only getting paid $2 million by the Dodgers, he doesn't count as $2 million. He counts as $46 million. I promise you're going to want to listen to this. If I've lost you, hang tight. Now, before I get into all of that mess, I do want to give a quick opinion real quick, and I'm going to get a lot of hate for this. I'm going to tip my cap to the Dodgers for actually taking this deal, because it's being reported that Ohtani, he presented this same deal to the Cubs, the Angels, whoever was willing to listen and take a meeting. He had the same offer for every single team. So this is not a Dodgers issue. This is an Ohtani issue, if anything. Whether you hate the Dodgers or not, you have to give them some credit for building such a strong organization. Not only do they spend money, they develop players like crazy. So they can trade players, they can spend money. They're still going to have to come up with $680 million over a 10-year span. That's a ton of money. And no, the Guardians, they can't afford that. The Blue Jays had a very competitive offer. The Cubs were in it as well. Again, this is not a Dodgers thing. And I'm going to throw this out there as well. I don't think that this is ever going to happen again, because Shohei Ohtani, he's probably the only human that could afford this, because he makes $50 to $60 million off the field in endorsements. He can defer all of his baseball money because he's making more than all of us combined on sponsors. I know this is kind of a tangent, but a lot of people were upset at Tom Brady that he took less money because he was married to a supermodel at the time, Giselle, whatever her face was, but he could afford to take less money because his wife was a near billionaire. Unicorns are a thing. They do not follow the rules. They break trends. They create new molds. And Ohtani is one of those dudes. So if you still think that Robert Manfred should step in and block this deal, let me give you an example of when Robert Manfred almost had to do that, but this was last year. Robert Manfred almost had to step in and block this signing of Aaron Judge to the Padres last year, and the biggest reason why, they wanted to give Aaron Judge a 14-year contract worth over $400 million. So the reports were that it would be about $28 million. That is a no-no. That is purposely extending the contract so you can lower how much you're paying Aaron Judge per year. Ohtani, even though he's making $2 million, remember what I said, he's worth $46 million. So this would have been not good, whereas Ohtani's is perfectly legal because deferred money, it still counts. It's just at a discounted rate. Let me repeat that one more time. Deferred money still counts. It's just discounted. So Ohtani, the Dodgers will be going into their pockets and handing him $2 million. But because deferred money still counts against the CBT, the luxury tax threshold, the Dodgers are still technically paying Ohtani $46 million against the luxury tax. But again, they're only technically giving him $2 million. Does that make any sense? So let me explain that one more time. Ohtani, he's being handed $2 million by the Dodgers. They are going into their pockets. Here you go, Shohei Ohtani. Buy Fortnite V-Bucks or whatever. Here's $2 million. It's yours. But remember what I said. That deferred money does not go away. It's discounted. The Dodgers, they are not working around $68 million a year. Ohtani, at the deferred discount, is still technically worth $46 million against the luxury tax threshold. That's the best way that I can explain it. At that point, I don't really have much else to say about Ohtani circumnavigating the taxes in terms of the luxury tax. If anything, Ohtani, he's the one that is trying to avoid taxes in California and push them to when he's retired. Let me explain that part. Shohei Ohtani is going to get taxed on the $2 million that he makes every single year playing in California. But also, because you're a professional athlete, you have to pay a jock tax. So if you play in California, you're taxed in California. If you fly across the country and you have a road trip against the Yankees, the Orioles, and the Red Sox, you pay taxes at the Boston rate, the Baltimore rate, and the New York rate. It's kind of confusing, but yeah, Ohtani, he's still going to get taxed on the $2 million that he's making. And because he's playing half of his games in California, a lot of that is just gone to Uncle Sam. So once Ohtani is done with the first decade of his contract, then the $680 million payout starts. He will get $68 million a year after the first 10 years. And if he's done with the game of baseball, or if he plays for a team like the Florida Marlins or the Texas Rangers or even the Las Vegas Athletics, those three states do not have a state income tax. So yes, he would still be paying the jock tax if he went to California and stuff like that. But the majority of his income, because it's played in a state that does not have a state income tax, he's going to be keeping a lot more money. I really hope that I'm explaining all of this right, but let me just kind of recap real quick just in case I'm going too fast or this is just too much information at once. Even though Shohei Ohtani deferred most of his contract, he's still worth $46 million against the CBT, the luxury tax threshold, because again, deferred money doesn't just disappear, it's discounted. And also, Ohtani, after 10 years, let's say that he moves to Texas and he's neighbors with Jacob deGrom. Jacob deGrom, he makes a lot more money playing for the Rangers because Texas does not have a state income tax. Let's say that Ohtani plays for the Rangers. Yes, he's going to get taxed more if he goes to play against the Angels or if he goes to play against the Dodgers after leaving LA. But if he just retires, that $68 million, he's going to keep the majority of it if he lives in a state that doesn't have state income tax. So I know there's a lot of terminologies and wild stuff going on, but that's all I got on Ohtani and circumnavigating the CBT, the luxury tax threshold. But actually, I want to say more on the luxury tax threshold. You guys remember when Robert Manfred and the players kind of engaged in a civil war? It was Iron Man versus Captain America, and we had a stalemate. Baseball was almost canceled for a season, but then they signed that dotted line, and there was a CBA, a collective bargaining agreement. Ohtani, he followed the rules of the CBA in terms of the deferrals, but also in terms of the CBA, they created a higher ceiling to the luxury tax threshold, and the Dodgers, they don't care about exceeding that. The Yankees don't care about that. The Mets don't care about that. And one thing that you have to remind yourselves of is that anytime you go above $237 million, so that is the luxury tax threshold going into the 2024 season, you are taxed on every single penny that you spend above $237 million. Are you guys following me? So again, that's why people were upset that small market teams could not afford to keep up with the Dodgers and their $2 million shiny Shohei Ohtani. But again, it's not like that. He counts as $46 million of that $237 million luxury tax threshold. But the thing that you have to keep in mind, the closer that you get to $300 million in payroll, the higher in taxes. And then what happens with those taxes and fees that the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Red Sox, other teams like that pay in luxury tax monies, that goes to the poor teams of baseball. It gets pooled up and it gets divvied up to all of the cheap owners. So the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Red Sox, they can spend a buttload of money because the CBA collectively bargained that that's okay. We don't need a salary cap because at least if you're going to spend money, those taxes are going to be divvied up to all of these small market teams and everyone wins. I don't think that's the case. I think that bails out cheap owners, and I don't like that. But then again, I also don't like a salary cap, but maybe we should have a salary cap. That's a different story for a different day. The main things I wanted to clarify is that Shohei Ohtani, he's making that $2 million, but he counts as 46 because deferred money is discounted and it still applies towards the CBT. And it was Shohei Ohtani's idea. So it's not an owner's thing. It's not a Dodgers thing. Ohtani brought this to every single team that gave him an opportunity to present his case. He could have been a Miami Marlin for all we care. And they could have afforded him for the next 10 years. But then once the $68 million hit, yeah, that would have been bad. Now, again, I do just want to clarify that even just saying out loud that Austin Hedges is going to be making more than Shohei Ohtani, that's a little bit sus. That's a little bit fishy. But we have to keep in mind that Shohei Ohtani is a unicorn. This is never going to happen ever again. No player is going to be that wealthy off the field and have the chance to defer $680 million. The only reason why this was able to take place is because Ohtani, he is a endorsement king. He gets paid $50 to $60 million before he even laces up his cleats to go play baseball. So Ohtani counts as $46 million towards the CBT. Every team could have accepted this offer, and Ohtani is actually hurting himself in the long run in terms of getting the full $700 million because money now is not the same as money later. Inflation is a thing. I don't see why people are upset. I know I kind of ranted in today's video, but I feel like I explained it the best way that I could. And if you're still upset, if you think that just like Manfred would have stepped in and blocked the Aaron Judge deal, do you still think that Robert Manfred should step in and disallow this signing to happen? Because after everything I said, they followed all the rules. They can't do anything about it. Like the Padres, they purposely wanted to go $14 million to get that average annual value of the AAV at $28 million. But the Padres, it would have been vetoed because they don't have that money on hand. And it was evident because they had to get a loan to pay payroll. The Dodgers, let's face it, they're a better run franchise than the Padres They have that money. They're going to be fine. So yeah, that does it for Shohei Ohtani breaking baseball. The dude followed all the rules. You're just mad that he's playing chess, not checkers, and that even though he presented it to your favorite team, they chose not to risk it because they don't want to pay him $68 million a year in 10 years. I mean, moral of the story is Ohtani's making $50 to $60 million off the field. He can afford to defer it, and the Dodgers, they love deferred money. They have it with Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman. It's completely legal according to the CBA. So at this point, if you don't like this, you have to let me know why. If I haven't convinced you, I'm genuinely curious what you have to say. And also, while you're down there, do me a favor, leave a like, click that subscribe button, and I'll catch you in the next one.